Have you ever felt eyes on you when you're alone? Not just a fleeting sensation, but a persistent, unshakable feeling that someone or something is watching? I have. And it happened in the most isolated place I've ever been, the Wind River Range in Wyoming. In late September, I embarked on a solo camping trip into the Wind River Range. I sought solitude, a break from the noise of everyday life. The trail was challenging, winding through dense forests and rugged terrain. After hours of hiking, I veered off the main path, seeking a secluded spot to set up camp. I found a clearing near a ridge that offered a breathtaking view of the valley below. It was perfect, remote, quiet, and serene. I pitched my tent, gathered some firewood, and settled in as the sun dipped below the horizon. As night fell, an unsettling silence enveloped the area. No rustling leaves, no chirping crickets, just an oppressive quiet. I tried to brush it off, attributing it to the remoteness of my location. I crawled into my sleeping bag, the silence pressing in from all sides. Around 2 a.m., I was jolted awake by a soft crunching sound outside my tent. My heart pounded as I strained to listen. The sound was deliberate, like footsteps in the frost-covered grass. I grabbed my flashlight, unzipped the tent, and shone the beam into the darkness. Nothing. The sound ceased, but the feeling of being watched intensified. At dawn, I stepped out of the tent to a chilling sight. Clear boot prints in the frost circled my tent, leading up to the ridge. They weren't mine. Someone had been there, watching me as I slept. I followed the tracks up to the ridge. At the edge, I found fresh heel marks embedded in the dirt, as if someone had been sitting there all night, watching my tent. A wave of fear washed over me. I wasn't alone. I packed up my gear in record time, constantly glancing over my shoulder. The forest, once serene, now felt menacing. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves sent my heart racing. I hiked back to my car, the feeling of being watched never leaving me. A few days after I returned home, just when I thought I'd moved past the experience, a small brown package arrived at my door. No return address, no postage stamp, just my name, handwritten in black marker. I opened it. Inside was a single item, a piece of frost-bitten earth wrapped in plastic, and beneath it, a Polaroid, a photo of my tent taken from the ridge. At first I focused on the tent in the photo, but then I noticed something else. Just behind the tent, partially hidden by a tree, was the faint outline of a man. He was standing upright, watching, motionless. I called the Park Service, asked about any incidents or known squatters in the Wind River Range. They said that section was virtually unvisited, too far off trail. But then the ranger said something that stuck with me. "You're not the first to ask about that ridge." I spoke to a local who ran a bait shop on the edge of the wilderness. When I mentioned the ridge, his expression changed completely. He told me an old tale. Decades ago, a man had gone missing while hunting. They found his camp, his gear, but not him, just fresh heel marks on the ridge, as if he'd watched his own camp until the moment he vanished. That night I had a dream. I was back on the ridge, but I wasn't alone. The man was there, crouched down, whispering things I couldn't understand. I couldn't move, I couldn't scream. I just watched, paralyzed, as he turned and crawled toward my tent. I decided I needed closure. I went back the next year, in October, same spot, same ridge. I set up my tent in the exact location, heart pounding. I stayed up all night, flashlight in hand, waiting, watching, but nothing came until dawn. Just as the sun broke over the horizon, I glanced up the ridge one last time, and I saw him, a figure standing completely still, watching me. He didn't run, he didn't move, he just stood there, like he'd always been. I turned and walked away. I didn't run, I didn't look back, but I never went back to the Wind River Range again. I don't camp alone anymore. Sometimes when I walk near woods, I still feel it, that tightness in my chest, the sense of being watched, and in my dreams, he's still there. People think the wilderness is peaceful, but there are places where silence has weight, where the trees have memories, where someone watches back. I haven't camped alone since. I don't think I ever will again. Because the worst kind of fear isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the kind that waits and watches and smiles from the ridge. If you ever camp alone and you feel like you're being watched, don't look toward the tent. Look toward the ridge. I've never believed in ghosts. I still don't know if I do. But I'll never forget what I heard that night in the Oregon woods. A scream. Not like someone stubbed their toe or saw a bear. No, it was the kind of scream that pours straight from your soul. Long, drawn out, like it got stuck in her throat and wouldn't stop coming out. It tore through the trees around midnight, and it came from the direction of Site 7. But Site 7 was closed, abandoned. The ranger told us it was under review. He didn't say why. We didn't ask. We should have. It was Emily's idea to go camping. We'd both been burning out, work, city noise, screens. You know the drill. We wanted to unplug, get off grid for a weekend. So we picked a place that felt like the edge of the world, Pine Ridge Campground, nestled in Oregon's vast national forest. 10 designated sites, spaced far apart, deep in the pines. No cell service, no electricity, just a long dirt road, a ranger station at the start, and quiet. God, it was quiet, too quiet. When we arrived, the ranger was this older guy, grizzled beard, flannel shirt, sun-worn face. He gave us the map and said, Site 6 is open. Site 7's closed. Don't go poking around there. It's under review. Emily raised an eyebrow but didn't press. I didn't either. The man's voice was serious, like that kind of serious where you don't argue. We nodded, drove the mile in, set up camp. Just the two of us, alone in the woods, or so we thought. Site 6 was beautiful. Flat ground, thick pines, a mossy fire ring, even a log bench someone had carved years ago. We pitched our tent near the tree line and got to work. Emily laid out the sleeping bags. I gathered kindling. There was a chill in the air already, even in the afternoon, that sharp, piney kind of chill. We didn't say it out loud, but Site 7 was weirdly close, just through a thin patch of trees, maybe 200 feet. I could see the closed sign through the branches. It looked old, like it had been there for years. Emily joked about it. What, did someone get eaten by a bear? I laughed. We both laughed, that kind of nervous keep-it-light laugh. But we didn't know then that we'd be the first ones to hear her in a long, long time. As the sun dipped low, the woods began to change. The light softened, shadows lengthened, and the sounds thinned out. Birdsong gave way to silence. Not even crickets. It was that eerie kind of silence, like the forest was holding its breath. Emily made dinner, freeze-dried pasta and trail mix. We ate by firelight. She asked if I noticed anything strange. I said no, but I did. I'd had this tightness in my chest since sundown, like we weren't alone, like the trees were listening. And then, just before bed, Emily said it. I think something's watching us from Site 7. I turned, looked through the trees. Nothing. Just darkness. We crawled into the tent, zipped it shut, the fire died, and the forest swallowed everything. I don't know what woke me. Maybe it was the cold or the silence. I blinked in the dark. The tent felt smaller, closer. Emily was curled up beside me, breathing softly. And then, the scream. God. That scream. High-pitched, ragged, full of pain that didn't sound human, but you knew in your gut it was. It didn't echo like it should have. It just hung in the air, as if the forest didn't want to carry it. It came from right past the tree line, from Site 7. Emily sat bolt upright. Did you hear that? I was already unzipping the tent. I grabbed my flashlight, and Emily followed me barefoot into the night. The beam cut through the black, pines everywhere, and straight ahead, Site 7. We crept closer, no voices, no footsteps, just Nothing. My heart was pounding, my skin was buzzing. It felt like walking into something ancient. The fire ring at Site 7 was a circle of mossy stones, completely cold. The clearing looked untouched, no tent, no chairs, no tracks, just pine needles, and that silence that pressed into your ears like cotton. Emily whispered, but someone screamed. I said nothing. I was too busy noticing what was wrong. There weren't even animal tracks, not a single print in the dirt. It was like this place had been scrubbed clean, except for one thing. Hanging from a tree in the center of the site was a necklace, a little silver heart, rusted. It swayed in the air, and we hadn't touched it. We backed out of Site 7 slowly. I kept shining the flashlight behind us, expecting to see something, anything. But the only thing we saw was that necklace, swinging slightly in the still air. Back at our tent, neither of us said much. We crawled in, zipped up. Emily lay rigid, her hand gripping mine so tightly it hurt. Then I heard it again, a whisper, not the scream. A whisper, right outside the tent. Just one word, help. I yanked open the zipper and shone the light. Nothing, just forest, just black. We didn't sleep. The sun finally rose. We looked like hell, pale, shaken, dead-eyed. Our fire was out, though neither of us remembered putting it out. It was like the night had swallowed it. We packed up in total silence. Didn't even eat. We just wanted to get out of there. Back at the ranger station, the same man stood behind the desk. He barely looked up as we approached. Then Emily blurted, "There was a scream from Site 7. A woman." He paused, put down his pen, and looked up slowly. "You heard her, huh?" he said. There was no surprise in his voice, just this tired sadness. "She went missing 3 years ago," he added. "Never found the body." I asked him, "So why close the site?" He looked right at me. "Because she only screams when someone's nearby." We left that morning. Didn't look back. 3 months passed. Emily still has nightmares. I do too sometimes, but I never told her one thing. 2 weeks after we came back, I got a letter, no return address. Inside was a photo of me and Emily, standing at Site 7. But the photo was impossible. We never took it. And in the background, between the trees, was a woman wearing that necklace, mouth wide open, frozen in a scream. I've since moved, changed my number. Emily and I, we broke up, not because of what happened out there, but because we both knew a part of us never came back from Site 7. Sometimes, late at night, when the house is dead silent, I hear it again, faint, somewhere just out of reach, that scream. I tell myself it's just my memory, just leftover fear echoing in my head. But then I remember, Site 7 is still there, still closed, still waiting, and she's still screaming. Maybe not for help. Maybe just for someone else to join her. So if you ever go camping in Oregon, and the ranger tells you a site is under review, don't ask why. And whatever you do, don't listen to the scream. If this story gave you chills, imagine hearing it in the middle of the night with no one around for miles. If you enjoyed this true horror story, give it a like and hit subscribe for more terrifying tales every week. Got a creepy camping story of your own? Drop it in the comments. We just might feature it in the next video. Until then, stay out of Site 7 and don't look behind you. I woke up to the sound of breathing that wasn't mine. It was low, ragged, wet, and it was coming from inside the tent. I was paralyzed, eyes wide open, body frozen stiff inside my sleeping bag, my breath caught in my throat. I listened again. The sound wasn't right. It wasn't snoring. It was too heavy, like something was struggling to breathe. I lay motionless, ears straining. The breathing was inside the tent. My heart pounded as I tried to rationalize it. Maybe one of the guys was having a nightmare. But then a slow, deliberate sniffing sound traced along the fabric near my head. I dared not move. The zipper at the tent's entrance began to slide down inch by agonizing inch. It was as if someone or something was trying to be stealthy, slowly, gently, as if someone or something was trying not to wake us. Only I was already awake. Wide awake. Just 24 hours earlier, the world was normal. Jake, Alex, and I, best friends since middle school, had been planning it all summer. We had decided to escape the city's chaos with a weekend camping trip in the Catskills. The Catskills were our choice. Not too touristy, not too remote. We found a little spot by a stream, no cell reception, but that was the point. No distractions. Just nature, firewood, and dumb jokes. We found a secluded spot near a babbling creek, surrounded by towering trees and the soothing sounds of nature. We set up our tent, gathered firewood, cracked a couple beers, and shared stories around the campfire. Laughter echoed through the woods as we reminisced about college days and planned future adventures. Little did we know, something was watching, waiting. The kind of night that makes you forget how dark the woods can get, how quiet they really are after midnight. By 10 p.m. the fire was crackling. We sat in a circle, passing around marshmallows and telling ghost stories. Alex told some local tale about feral people living in the Catskills, skinny things that crawl on all fours, a creature that roams these woods, a being that mimics human voices to lure its prey. We laughed it off, attributing it to folklore, but something about the silence afterward made us uneasy. The woods were too still. No owls, no wind. Just the fire and our nervous breathing. I felt it first, a drop in temperature, subtle but sharp. Jake looked at me and said, "Is it just me or did it get cold really fast?" Around midnight, we turned in. The fire had burned down to glowing embers, and the forest had grown unnaturally silent. Inside the tent, we laughed a bit more, zipped up our sleeping bags and passed out. The forest was eerily quiet. No rustling leaves, no chirping crickets, just an oppressive silence. I struggled to sleep, the stillness amplifying every creak and groan of the tent. But sometime around 3 a.m., I woke up. Not because of a noise, not at first. It was the feeling that did it, that sensation you get when you're being watched. I sat up. Something had changed. The air felt thicker, like the oxygen had been pulled out of the space. Then I heard it. That awful dragging sound. Something was outside the tent, moving in a slow circle around it. It was slow, deliberate, and unnervingly close. The dragging stopped right beside my head. Then came the sound of sniffing, wet, animalistic, but too slow to be natural. It moved along the edge of the tent fabric as if studying us through scent. I held my breath, praying it would go away. My eyes locked with Jake's. He was awake now too, frozen like me. Neither of us dared to breathe. Then zip. The tent zipper started moving, inch by inch, so slow it was almost gentle. That was the worst part. It didn't want to scare us. It wanted to study us. I snapped. I screamed as loud as I could, and all hell broke loose. Jake and Alex shot up, and we all reached for the flashlight. Jake got it first and flicked it on, shining it straight at the entrance. The zipper was halfway down. Nothing was there, just the empty forest. But it didn't feel empty. The trees seemed closer, the air wrong. We all reached for our phones. Maybe we could call for help, check the time, anything to distract us. That's when Jake said, "Guys, look at this." He had a video open. The footage showed us sleeping, the camera slowly zooming in on our faces. None of us remembered recording it. The camera slowly zoomed in on my face, then on Jake's, then on Alex. It was recorded at between 2 and 3 a.m. None of us took it, but there it was, crisp, HD. Worse, the angle suggested it was filmed from inside the tent. My stomach dropped. We all checked our phones. Same thing, same time, same video. We didn't talk. We didn't argue. We just moved. We grabbed the flashlight and ran. Left the tent, left the gear. Ran through the forest like animals chased by fire. The forest seemed to close in around us, branches clawing at our clothes as we ran. We didn't stop until we were back at the car, gasping for breath. Only then did we realize something. None of our phones had signal, but the video had uploaded to the cloud. Something wanted us to find it. Back home, we tried to rationalize the events. Maybe it was a prank, a shared hallucination. Weeks passed, we told no one. But late one night, Jake sent a text. New video showed up. It was dated last night. Same tent, same faces, same slow zoom. But we hadn't been camping. None of us had left our homes. The camera angle was above us, like it had crawled across the ceiling or stood on something too tall to be human. I don't camp anymore. I don't sleep with the lights off. And every night before I close my eyes, I check my phone to make sure there isn't another video. But last night there was. And this time, the video ended with a whisper. One word: closer.